Here's a business that costs $10 million to buy and pays you back about $150,000 a year. That's a return of 1.5%. A savings account beats it. And yet, the richest people in America are fighting each other to buy these things, paying more every single year, and almost none of them are doing it for the cows. There's a reason for that, and it's the strangest thing in American real estate. It's a cattle ranch. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why a small rancher loses money on every single animal, even in a record market, why the actual profit isn't in the cattle at all, and the quiet reason this barely functions as a business, but works spectacularly as something else. Let's break down the economics of owning a ranch, so you want to own a ranch. First, the land, and this is where most dreams die immediately. A working cattle ranch with water and grazing, but no luxury runs $2,000 to $7,000 per acre. Remote and rough, maybe $2,000. Beautiful, near a town with a river, $10,000 and up. Now here's the number nobody expects. How much land does one cow need? In good pasture country, about 1.5 to 2 acres, but in the dry west, one cow can need 4 to 6 acres. And in the harshest parts of California, 10 to 25 acres per single cow. Let that sink in. In some parts of this country, you need 25 acres of land to support one animal. So a modest 100-cow herd, which is not a big ranch, might need 200 acres of green pasture or 2,500 acres of dry range. At even $3,000 an acre, that's $7.5 million of dirt to run 100 cows. And you haven't bought a single cow yet. Now let's run the thing with real numbers, because this is where the illusion falls apart. What does one cow cost you every year? Feed, hay, minerals, vet, breeding, trucking, machinery, insurance, taxes. The Livestock Marketing Information Center put the average cow-calf cost of production at roughly $1,064 per cow per year. That's $2.91 a day per cow, every day of her life, whether she's productive or not. And what does she produce? One calf a year if you're lucky, and the industry standard isn't even one per cow. It's around an 85% calf crop, meaning 15 out of every 100 cows just don't deliver a calf that year. They ate for 12 months and produced nothing. The calf gets weaned at about 550 pounds and you sell it. Now, right now, we are living through the best cattle market in a decade. The U.S. cattle herd hit around 86 million head, the lowest since 1951. Tight supply means record prices. A 550-pound calf sells for around $3.55 a pound. So that calf is worth roughly $1,900. $1,900 in, $1,000 out. That looks like $800 of profit per cow. Times 100 cows, $80,000 a year. On a $7.5 million property. That's a 1% return in the best cattle market in a decade. And that's the optimistic version because those cost figures conveniently leave things out. Land, labor, interest, depreciation on the tractors and the fences and the barns. Add those in honestly, and here's what the academic studies find. Total economic costs ran from about $910 per cow for big operations with over 500 cows, up to $2,099 per cow for small ones with 20 to 49 cows. Read that again. If you run a small herd, your true cost per cow is over $2,000, and the calf sells for $1,900. You are quite literally losing money on every animal in the best market anyone has seen in 10 years. The small ranch isn't a business, it's a very expensive way to grow grass. So why does the big ranch survive and the small one bleed? Scale. That gap, 900 versus 2,000, is a 130% cost difference, driven almost entirely by labor efficiency. The same fence, the same tractor, the same 12-hour day spread across 500 cows instead of 40. Ranching punishes the small operator more brutally than almost any business in America. Now, if the cattle barely make money and often lose it, why is ranch land more expensive every year? Why are billionaires buying up hundreds of thousands of acres? This is the part that explains everything, because the cows were never the product. The land is. Ranch brokers say the quiet part out loud. A well-run working ranch yields about 1 to 3% of income annually. 1 to 3%. They tell that to buyers in public, and the buyers sign anyway. Because they aren't buying income. They're buying the asset. And the asset appreciates. Texas land prices rose over 3% in 2024 alone, with the median hitting $4,700 an acre. That appreciation across thousands of acres dwarfs anything the cows will ever produce. The cattle are functionally a way to make the land pay its own property taxes while it quietly grows in value underneath you. And that's before the tax code enters the room. Agricultural exemptions can slash property taxes on land that's actively grazed, which means running cattle, even at a loss, can be cheaper than not running cattle. You are keeping animals partly to qualify for a lower tax bill, and when you sell a 1031 exchange lets you roll the entire gain into another property and defer the capital gains tax, potentially forever. So the smart ranchers stopped relying on beef long ago. They stack income on top of the dirt. Hunting leases run $5 to $25 an acre, and people pay $10,000 to $15,000 for a single bull. Elk hunt on a good property. Pasture leases, where someone else's cattle graze and you take zero risk. Weddings and agritourism, $5,000 to $20,000 per event. Mineral rights, water rights, which in the arid West can be worth more than everything above ground combined. Solar and wind leases, and direct-to-consumer beef, where instead of selling a calf for $1,900, you finish it and sell it as packaged beef at $8 to $15 a pound, turning that calf into $4,400 of product with $1,400 to $2,200 of actual profit. 10 to 15 times the commodity margin. The catch? It only works with a customer list, and building one takes 2 to 4 years of unpaid marketing. Sell direct with no customers and you dump your cattle at a loss anyway. And through all of it runs the thing you cannot control. The cattle cycle. High prices make ranchers expand. Bigger herds mean more supply. More supply crashes the price. The crash forces liquidation. Liquidation shrinks the herd. Tight supply sends prices to record highs, which makes everyone expand again. It's a machine that eats optimists on a 10-year timer. Right now, we're at the very top. Record prices, smallest herd since 1951. Everyone buying in today is buying at the moment the cycle looks most attractive and is most dangerous. So, does owning a ranch work? Here's the honest answer. As a cattle business, for a small operator, no. The math is openly hostile. You will work harder than almost anyone in America to lose $200 a cow. As a landholding with a cattle operation attached, it works quietly and enormously well because the appreciation, the tax treatment, and the stacked leases do all the heavy lifting while the cattle keep the whole thing classified as agriculture. Which is why one ranch broker summed up the entire industry in a single sentence. Ranches can be profitable, but there are far easier ways to make money. Every serious buyer knows this. They buy anyway. So if you still want to own a ranch, remember the one rule the whole business runs on. Everyone thinks a ranch is a place where you raise cattle to make money. It isn't. It's a place where you make money and then raise cattle to justify owning it. The cows were never the business. The cows are the excuse.